Hey, good morning, Sunday morning, and I'm playing Immaculate Grid number 504, which I'll dedicate to Eddie Murray, who did play with a number of teams. He had his last three home runs with the Anaheim Angels, as they were called at the time, which is useful for the purposes of this game because it's a fun little nuanced team change. I actually have a baseball card of him wearing the periwinkle before the '97 season. It's a upper deck collector's choice. I really liked that card because I got it in a set, I think Christmas that year, and I just thought, I mean, A, it was just like that's not the uniform I thought this guy wore. I thought, I had cards of him with the Orioles, but it was also just like that was pre-baseball reference, or at least pre-baseball reference, or the internet really being what the internet is today. And there wasn't just the easy way to go look up like what were Eddie Murray's stats. I would never be able to make these videos without being able to find out who had 504 doubles or home runs or whatever. Um, but just the sheer volume of stats on the back of the card was just something like, oh man, I've got this guy's whole like archive, and he's an all-time great, 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. And what's wild is that that wasn't even his whole career because they couldn't fit it all on the back of that Upper Deck Collector's Choice card. They couldn't fit, they could only fit like the previous 15 years or something. So it's a fun set. I like that set. I've got a whole bunch of those cards in one of those binders up there. Anyway, that's enough ranting about how much I love baseball cards and Eddie Murray. Let's play Immaculate Grid in honor of Steady Eddie. Share my screen here. Went almost all Brewers. Couple notes from yesterday's game. Number one, because I was trying to go for all Brewers on this all teams edition, or no teams edition, I should say. I went Nomar because he was drafted by the Brewers, even though he didn't sign, which is kind of a cheap way out. The one I should have gone with is Harvey Keene. Would have worked for 300 and Rookie of the Year. He was the Brewers manager in their 1982 season. Another option I had at my disposal, which was pointed out, and that I'd completely memory hold because I was paying attention to baseball at this point in time. But Ben Grieve played a portion of one of his final seasons with the Brewers. He was basically a platoon player during the 2004 season. It's easy to memory hold that era of Brewers baseball, but I'd totally forgotten that Ben Grieve was on that team. That was the Milwaukee Diamondbacks year because we traded Richie Sexson for pretty much the entire Diamondbacks infield and the first year of Craig Counsell playing Milwaukee. But Ben Grieve was out there too. So that would have worked because his first cup of coffee was a 300 season. So one of these days, I'll get an all Brewers game on the first try. I've gone back and played some of these no team grids and tried to make all Brewers. Anyway, I'm going to. Oh, and another thing, I looked up one last little tidbit because yesterday's game I was talking a lot about Scott Pasenik, and then I reminded myself, it's like John, he didn't win that Rookie of the Year. Dontrell Willis uh won it instead, and you had thought that Pasenik should have won it. In reality, I went ahead and looked at the Baseball Reference rankings for Rookie of the Year that year. Willis was a bit better than Pasetnik. It was like four in terms of WAR. It was about 4.4 to 3.7, I think. Turns out both of them probably should have lost to Brandon Webb. He had a sub 3 ERA that year, more innings pitched than Willis. But so we were both wrong. Me and the writers were both wrong. So let's hit refresh and play Immaculate Grid 504 in honor of Eddie Murray. I'm doing the timed version. Hit and refresh, hit and go, and away we go. And there's no way I'm getting Murray into this one. So um, we'll go Placido Polanco over here. Let's go Pat Burrell. This one. Joe Blanton, of course, works for A's and Phillies. 30 save season for the Tigers. How about Todd Jones? And then we'll get Rob Nen for the Giants and Keith Folk for the A's. Let's see here. Let's go Trammell for the Tigers at shortstop. We'll go Brandon Crawford for the Giants. And for the A's, how about Miguel Tejada to close us out? 57 seconds. One, two, three, four. Four top getters. Castellanos, okay, I could see that. Willie Hernandez leading the way. People remembering that 84 season where he wins MVP and Cy Young. I think he had about 32 saves. Really, the impressive part of that year is the volume. He threw north of, I think, 120 plus innings or something like that. No surprise on Eckersley, and I do love. I have seen this before, but Jeremy Giambi takes takes the Phillies and A's, and I can't help but think that's maybe a teensy tiny bit inspired by Moneyball. Anyway, gonna stop share reshare, and we'll play the Rarity version here. Um, wasn't really thinking that there's a. Let's see. You could go with Francisco Rodriguez here, but I don't think you're getting. Oh no, you could go Fingers here, I think. But then for Giants, I think that would be the blocker to being able to go with an all Brewers grid. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. Anyway, we'll get into this one. Phillies Tigers. Let's see if Schoolboy Rowe has gotten any more popular. I've played him before. He has got more popular. That's one digit closer to the decimal point. Since I forgot him yesterday, and he also would have worked above, let's go Harvey Keene for the Phillies and Giants. It's 0.1. Phillies and A's. Nat Blageway works. Jimmy Fox works. Um, who else? Who else would be good there? Those are some pretty low ones. Let me, well, I think they'd be single digits. I don't think they'd be sub one though. Let's see, 30 saves. This will probably crush, I think it'll crush a lot of your ghost scores that I see in the comments. Um, for the Tigers, I'm trying to remember if John Hiller gets there and he's really good. I want to say 72 season. I believe he does. I think he has 31 saves. 6%. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of anyone pre-Rod Beck. Because you get Beck, you get Nen. I think you get, oh, who did they have? Well, eventually you get Brian Wilson. You get Sergio Romo. Um, yeah, I'm drawing some blanks there. I'm not sure if Andrew Bailey is going to work down here. Billy Koch will work. Um, about over here, I'm going to go with Travis Jackson. Let's see. Tigers. Who should we go with on the Tigers for shortstop? We get a Davy Cruz in there for 1%. And for the A's, I mean, get Campaneris, Walt Weiss. I can't remember. I want to say I played. Was it Rafael Belliard, but he didn't work? Maybe it was a different category altogether. And after Tejada, we get Marcus Simeon eventually, but that's like 20 years. I'm trying to think about in the middle there. I really should have more names here. 30 saves. And actually, I'm not 100% sure Fingers does get there. He gets there with the Padres, but he was more in like the high 20s. He was more of a traditional fireman back in the day. Um, and I'm not 100% sure on Andrew Bailey either. Maybe Balfour? This is a tough one. Let's see how Lajoie does. Oh, that's a lot higher than I thought. I should really, because you can see the Kansas City A's hat up there. I should really know more Kansas City A's, but that's not going to help for saves, but it might help for coming up with a decently rare shortstop since I'm going between some pretty popular guys. I don't have a better answer yet. What if Keith Ginder played a little shortstop in his day? Is it? There's another Raphael, I think. I think it was this guy. It was this guy. There we go. There's point two. Um, all right, I'm just gonna close out here. He has such a short career, but he's the Moneyball guy, so 8%. Let's go back 19%. So there were 10 options. I could have done a lot better on this one. I maybe do a little bit better on those. Jake McGee, Camilo Duvall. I am not up on Will Smith. I could have gotten, but I'm not up on current Giants closers. Was not up on Santiago Casilla. I was on a submarine for most of that time. Romo only does it once. Wilson does it 4 times. Tim Worrell, that's who was right after Rob Nan, because they traded Joe Nathan. In part, I think, because they had Tim Worrell. So Greg Minton probably would have been the best. He had exactly 30 saves 42 years ago. That was probably the optimal answer. All right. Well, I will do it there. Longer video, I think, but still had fun with it. Thanks. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and all that. And I'll be back at it tomorrow. Peace.